My name is She. I was 19 years old. I was a student at college. I went to classes every day. This year I had some new classes. One class was very new for me. The name of this class was Literature and Life. It sounded different. The teacher for this new class was also new for me. His name was Mr. Greg Wilson. I did not know him before. On the first day of the class, I went to the classroom. Mr. Wilson walked into the room. He was not very old. He was not young like the students. He had a kind face. His eyes looked friendly. He smiled at us. He started to talk. His voice was soft, but everyone could hear him. He talked about the class, literature, and life. He said the class was about reading books and thinking about life. He said books can show us many things about people and the world. He talked about how stories can make us feel things. He seemed very happy when he talked about books and stories. His teaching style was very good. He did not just talk. He asked questions. He made us think. He listened to the students when they talked. He made the class feel interesting from the first minute. He was kind to everyone. He made jokes sometimes, and people laughed. During the class, Mr. Wilson looked around the room at all the students. At one point, he looked at me. He smiled a little more. It felt like he saw me, not just another student. When he smiled at me, I felt a strange feeling. It was like a small warmth in my chest. It was a nice feeling. But in that moment, I felt a connection. It made me feel happy to be in that class. After the first class finished, I walked out of the room. I thought about Mr. Wilson and how he talked about books. I thought about the warm feeling when he smiled. I thought, this class will be a good class. I did not know then how important this class and this teacher would become for me. But the first day felt special. I looked forward to the next class already. I liked learning from Mr. Wilson. 2. Office talks. I needed help with a paper for my literature class. Writing was sometimes difficult for me, especially for university assignments that required careful thinking. So I decided to visit Mr. Wilson during his office hours. Teachers have specific times each week when students can come to their office and ask questions or get help with their studies. Mr. Wilson's office was not very large. It was a small room, but it had a comfortable and welcoming feeling. There were many books everywhere, on shelves that covered the walls, piled on his desk, and even stacked on the floor. It smelled faintly like old paper and maybe a little coffee, a pleasant smell. When I went for the first time, we focused mainly on my paper. Mr. Wilson read parts of it and discussed my ideas and arguments. He was very helpful and patient, taking time to explain things clearly. He offered suggestions that made my writing better. It was easy to understand his guidance. After we finished talking about the assignment itself, our conversation often continued for a few minutes, moving to other topics. He showed interest in my life beyond the classroom. He asked me about my favorite books and what I enjoyed reading for fun outside of school requirements. I shared some of the books and authors I liked. Then, feeling more comfortable, I felt able to ask him about his own reading preferences. He told me about many different books, some of which were quite old and famous, classics of literature. We also talked about music. My taste in music was quite different from his. I listened to current popular music, while he preferred older styles like jazz or classical music. He talked about different musicians and composers, and I learned new names and styles. It was interesting to hear him talk about his passions outside of teaching. Visiting his office became a regular part of my weekly routine. I started going there more often than just when I had a specific question about an assignment or needed help with my paper. Sometimes, I did not really need academic help at all. I just wanted to go and talk to him for a while. The conversations felt easy and natural, flowing from one topic to another. We talked about a wide range of things, often moving beyond just books, music, or typical classwork discussions. As this habit of visiting his office grew, I realized something about my thoughts. I started thinking about Mr. Wilson quite frequently, even when I was not on campus or in his class. I would remember things he said during our office talks, maybe a funny comment or an interesting idea he shared. I would think about his perspective on different topics we discussed. His presence in my thoughts became more common throughout my day, not just when I was doing schoolwork. I found myself looking forward to the next time I could see him in class or have a chance to visit his office. The time spent talking with him felt increasingly important and different from my other daily interactions. 3. Cafe surprise. One Saturday afternoon, she decided to visit a small cafe near the college. It was a quiet, friendly place with soft music playing. She often went there to relax and read. Today, she brought a book for her literature and life class. She found a table and started to read. After some time, she looked up from her book. She was very surprised by what she saw. Sitting at a table not far away was Mr. Wilson. He was alone, drinking a cup of coffee. She felt her heart beat a little faster. She did not expect to see him here, Mr. Wilson looked up at that moment and saw she. He smiled warmly. "Hello, she," he said. He stood up and walked over to her table. "Is it okay if I join you for a few minutes?" he asked. She felt a mix of surprise and happiness. "Yes, please do," she replied. Mr. Wilson sat down at her table. He looked different today. He was not wearing his usual teacher clothes, no jacket, just a simple shirt and trousers. He looked relaxed, like a person enjoying his free time on a Saturday. "What are you reading today?" he asked, pointing to her book. She showed him the book. They started talking about it, but soon the conversation changed. It was not about schoolwork or grades. It was an easy, natural talk. They talked about many different things, places they liked to visit, simple things about their days. It was so easy to talk to him outside of the college environment. He was funny and interesting. He shared stories about his life before he became a teacher. She learned new things about him. She felt very comfortable sitting there and talking. It felt different from the office talks. This felt more personal, like talking to a friend. After a while, they started using first names. He called her she, and she called him Greg. It felt strange at first, calling her teacher by his first name, but it also felt right in that moment. They talked and laughed for a long time. The time seemed to fly by. She felt a real connection with Greg. It was a warm and happy feeling. Finally, she looked at her watch. She had to go home. "I should probably go now," she said. Greg smiled. "It was really nice talking to you today, he said. "Yes, it was very nice," she agreed. She stood up to leave the cafe. As she walked out, she felt very happy. The conversation had made her feel light and cheerful. But as she walked down the street, her thoughts became a little complicated. "He is Greg, the person you talked to happily at the cafe," a part of her thought. "But he is also Mr. Wilson, your teacher at college." It was a strange mix of joy from the connection and a quiet reminder of the boundary that should be there. She knew this meeting was a surprise, and it felt good, but she also knew it was different from a normal teacher-student relationship. 4. Our secrets. After the day at the cafe, things felt different. It was like something changed between us. In class, when Mr. Wilson looked at me, his eyes held a small smile. It felt like we shared a little secret that no one else knew. Sometimes, after the class finished, he would wait a moment. Then we would walk together for a short distance. We talked quietly, saying things we did not say when other students were near. He often told me good things about my school work. He said I had interesting ideas. He said I was a smart student. When he said these words, I felt very happy. His words made me feel special. I started to feel more sure of myself because of what he said. It was nice to hear him say these things, just to me, in a quiet voice. One afternoon, it was raining hard when class ended. Mr. Wilson had a big umbrella. He saw me looking at the rain and asked if I needed to go somewhere nearby. I said I needed to go to the bus stop, which was not far. He opened his umbrella and said he would walk with me. Under the umbrella, we were very close. His arm was near mine. I could feel the warmth from his body. I could smell the clean, nice smell of his coat. My heart started to beat faster. It felt strange, but also good to be so close to him. The rain made the world outside the umbrella feel far away. It was just us in that small space. In that moment, I knew this was not a normal teacher-student relationship. It was more. But I also knew it was not right. He was my teacher, and I was his student. This feeling, this closeness, this connection we had was something we had to keep hidden. It was our secret. We did not talk about it, but I felt he knew it too. It was a bond that grew stronger each day, a secret bond just for us. 5 people talk. One day, my friend Lisa saw me. I was talking to Mr. Wilson near the college library. Lisa came to me later. She looked at me and asked, "You talk to Mr. Wilson a lot. Is he your favorite teacher?" I felt my face get warm. I said, "Yes, he is a good teacher. I like his class." But I felt strange when I said it. It was just a simple question, but it felt like more. After that, I started to feel different in class. I felt eyes on me. Other students looked at me sometimes. When I walked into the room, I felt their looks. In class, I sometimes heard quiet voices. Students were whispering. I did not hear their words, but I knew they were talking about something. Maybe they were talking about me. Maybe they were talking about me and Mr. Wilson. This feeling made me feel uncomfortable. I started to feel a little afraid. What were they saying? Mr. Wilson also seemed different. He looked a little worried in class sometimes. One afternoon, I went to his office. We were talking, and he looked very serious. He said, I think people are talking." He looked at me with his kind eyes, but they were full of worry. He said, "Students are noticing us. We must be very, very careful." I knew he was right. We had shared quiet talks and secret moments. But now other people saw things. Other people were thinking. His words made me feel scared. I knew this was true. People were talking. If someone told the college about us, it could be a big problem. For Mr. Wilson, it could mean he would lose his job. He loved teaching. This job was important to him. If he lost his job because of me, I would feel terrible. It would be my fault. For me, it could mean problems with my studies. Maybe the college would be angry with me. Maybe other students would be mean. It was a heavy thought. The idea of problems for him and for me made me feel very sad. It felt like a heavy weight on my heart. Our quiet friendship, our talks, the feeling of being special, it all felt like it was in danger. The talking, the whispers, the looks, they took away the happiness. Now there was just worry. I felt sad because something good was starting to feel wrong. We had to be careful, he said, but how careful was careful enough? The sadness stayed with me after I left his office. People were talking, and it changed everything. 6. A sad kiss. She felt very sad and worried. The whispers from other students were getting louder in her mind. They made her feel exposed and scared. She could not stop thinking about what people were saying about her and Mr. Wilson. It felt like everyone was watching them. One afternoon, the sadness was too much. She decided to go to Mr. Wilson's office. She hoped he could offer some comfort or tell her what to do. When she arrived, the door was slightly open. She knocked softly, her hand shaking a little. Mr. Wilson looked up from his desk. He saw her standing there, looking upset. His eyes, usually so kind, showed concern. She felt a lump in her throat. Tears started to fill her eyes, and she began crying quietly. Mr. Wilson stood up quickly. He came to the door and closed it carefully. It felt like closing the outside world away. He walked back to his chair and waited for her to sit. What is wrong?" he asked, his voice gentle and full of worry. She sat down and tried to speak through her tears. She told him how scared she was because of the students' talk. She explained how heavy the whispers felt and how worried she was about the problems it could cause for him and for her. It felt like everything was going wrong. He listened with deep attention. He did not interrupt. When she finished, there was a moment of silence in the small office. He looked at her with his kind, serious eyes. Then he slowly reached out. He put his hand on her arm just above her elbow. His touch was warm and steady. It felt like a small island of safety in her storm of fear. He continued to look into her eyes. His voice was low when he spoke. He said, "You are very special to me." She felt a shock go through her. Her heart leaped. Before she could think, he leaned closer. His face was only inches away. He kissed her. It was a very brief kiss, soft and quick. It was just a moment, but it felt like a lifetime. In that instant, everything outside the office, the whispers, the fear, disappeared. It felt incredibly wrong because of who he was and who she was. But at the same time, in the small space behind the closed door with his hand on her arm, it felt like the only right place to be, the only true thing. Then he pulled away. His face was close, but his expression had changed. The kindness was still there, but now mixed with deep sadness and worry. He looked troubled. "I am sorry, he said again, his voice quiet. This is very difficult for us." She could only look at him. The mix of emotions was overwhelming. The brief moment of feeling right was gone, replaced by the heavy weight of reality. The kiss was not happy or romantic. It felt sad. It was a kiss that showed how complicated and impossible their situation was. The closed door now felt less like a secret place and more like a trap. They had crossed a line, and the sadness on his face showed he knew it, and that the consequences would be hard. 7. The hard goodbye. The kiss was short, but it felt like a big event. After it happened, things changed completely. It was impossible to pretend that we were just teacher and student anymore. The secret we shared felt much bigger and heavier. We tried to act normally in class and when other people were around. But it was very difficult. Every time our eyes met, or we were near each other, we remembered the kiss and the feelings. It felt wrong, but it also felt like the truth of our connection. We knew our situation was complicated and could cause problems. Then, one day, the worst thing happened. The head of the college called Mr. Wilson to her office. I saw him walk towards her door. My stomach felt sick because I had a bad feeling. He was inside for a long time. I waited and worried. When he came out, his face was very serious and sad. He looked like all the happiness was gone from his eyes. Later that day, after the last class, he found me. He asked me to walk with him to a quiet place outside near the big trees. He stopped there and turned to face me. His hands were shaking a little. He looked at me with so much sadness. He said, "This has to stop. They know about us." My heart felt like it stopped beating. "Who knows?" I asked, my voice quiet. He said, "Someone told the college administration. They know about our relationship." I felt a wave of fear. Everything felt like it was falling apart. I asked him, "What will happen now?" He took a deep breath. A long, slow one. He said he had to leave the college. He would not teach here after the end of the school year. He said it was the only choice he had. He told me he was leaving to protect me. He said it was his fault that our relationship became more than it should be. He repeated that I was young and had a bright future. He did not want this situation to hurt my life or my studies. He said he had to take responsibility for everything that happened. Then his voice became very soft, but the words were hard. He said, we cannot see each other anymore. We cannot talk, not here, not outside the college. This is our goodbye." He looked at me, and I saw tears in his eyes. My own eyes filled with tears, too. It was the most painful moment. It felt like the end of the world. The person I had connected with so deeply, the teacher who made me feel special, was leaving. And I could not even say a proper goodbye or stay in touch. It was a hard goodbye, a final goodbye to our secret world. 8 years later, many years have passed now. I am not 19 years old anymore. I finished college a long time ago. Now I have a job. My life is different. It is busy, and I meet new people every day. But sometimes I stop and think about the past. I think about Mr. Wilson, Greg. I remember his kind eyes. I remember his soft voice when he talked about books. I remember sitting in his office. We talked about many things, not just schoolwork. I remember the time we met at the cafe. It was a surprise, and we talked for a long time that day. I remember walking under his umbrella when it rained. It felt like our little secret. I also remember the difficult times. I remember when people started to talk. I remember the worry. I remember the short kiss we shared. It felt like a secret, but it was also scary. I remember when the college knew. It was a very sad time. He had to leave. We could not see each other anymore. It felt like the end of something important. It was a scandal for a little while. People talked. But time passes and things change. The difficult part ended, but I never forgot him. He was my teacher, yes, but he was more. He was Greg. He was very important to me during that year. I learned many things from him. Not just about the books we read in class. I learned about life. I learned that choices can be difficult. I learned that feelings can be strong and confusing. He helped me see things in a new way. He had a big impact on me. He was a good person. I hope he is well now. I hope he is happy wherever he is. I will always remember that time. I will always remember him.